Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time for me to fill out my March Madness bracket. Yes, I know it took a while for me to get this out. I apologize for that reason. However, I do have a huge reason why it took me so long, because I wanted to make sure that I, had a connection with this bracket, that this bracket actually liked me back, and we went out on a date last night. Yes, I think I'm the first person to ever take their March Madness bracket out on a date. The bracket was the date. Yes, I know, I'm psychotic. So I think I'm the first person to ever do that. John Rothstein, he might be the biggest sicko in college basketball, but one thing's for sure, I don't think he ever took his March Madness bracket out on a date, so I can forever claim that. We had a good time. I wanted to make sure that I had a good connection with this bracket. I think it's important to establish that before you fill it out, and I think I did that. So today, I'm going to be doing my official bracket. Now, I do want to make a few things clear. First off, if you haven't seen my 68 team breakdown, please check that out for me. That is my favorite video I make. It really means a lot to me. I kind of look at every team. And again, I think when it comes to filling out a bracket, which leads me into part two, you should always do your own thing. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. I understand if you don't watch college basketball, you might need a little bit of an opinion or some guidance. I get that. But again, there's really no wrong answers when it comes to, the bracket, because there's only one combination, and to correctly predict that's just, very unlikely. So, because nobody's ever done it, obviously. But yeah, that's kind of the whole thing. Sometimes I even contemplate even filling one out to begin with, because I feel like it takes away the enjoyment, for me personally, as a diehard college basketball fan. Well, it takes away the enjoyment of watching the tournament, because then you start cheering for your picks, and when you get things wrong, kind of stinks. So, but you know what? I do have an obligation to fulfill here, and I'm going to actually fill mine out and give you exactly what I think. And yeah, I only stick with one bracket. I don't like filling out more than one. I just like writing with one. And it's, what you make your picks are. Because I think that, having your upset bracket or your Cinderella bracket or having a couple, and I don't know, that's just not for me. I get if people do that, but that's just not for me. Okay. Let's not waste any more time here. I already took my bracket out on a date. You probably think I'm mentally insane, which understandably so. Let's just start off here at the top here. I got UConn beating Stetson. We can obviously move pretty quickly on that one. Florida Atlantic and Northwestern. This is a tough matchup. I like this Northwestern team, but I think Florida Atlantic, they didn't bring back all these guys just to lose, right? I feel like they got to get at least one, which would set up honestly, what could have been the national championship game last year, which is, man, that was crazy. Florida Atlantic losing last second. Okay, and then we actually move on to another team that was in the Final Four, which is San Diego State. They're playing UAB. I like San Diego State here. Again, I think they brought back a lot of the same team. So I think they'll move on there. Auburn and Yale. I really like Auburn here. I think that they're just playing really good basketball right now. It's hard to bet against them, so I'm going to trust Bruce Pearl to get the job done. BYU and Duquesne. Duquesne probably should not be an 11 seed. I think BYU, they're just a lot bigger, a lot more, honestly, probably even a little bit more physical than Duquesne. So I think they're just happy to be here. So I'll take the Cougars. Illinois, Morehead State. Actually, this is one of those where I really thought about it for a moment. I'm gonna take Illinois. This is one that kind of stumped me. I feel like this is a huge likely upset candidate here, but I'm gonna take Illinois. I think that, again, they're playing really good basketball right now, so I'll ride with them. Washington State and Drake. Man, another one that just really took some time to figure out here. I like Drake here. I feel like, third time's the charm, right? What, they miss out in 21, they lost to Wichita State, they beat Wichita State, and then they lost to USC. And, last year, obviously, they were a huge Cinderella candidate and lost to Miami, but I think they're better than Washington State. Washington State's pretty big, so I think that could cause some matchup nightmares for them, but if Drake's on, I think they'll win. And then Iowa State and South Dakota State. I like Iowa State here. I feel like they're getting really disrespected. So yeah, there's the East first round. Let's move down to the West. I like North Carolina over Wagner. Pretty simple there. Michigan State and Mississippi State. This is tough. It's going to be a defensive clinic here, and I think that it's going to come down to guard play. And I've said in my breakdown, I love this Mississippi State team, but man, it's hard to bet against Tom Izzo in March, guys. I mean, it just really is. And maybe this is the same with like the FAU pick, where I've just got like this preconceived notion that I thought they were going to be much better than they were this year. It'd just be hard to see them not at least winning one game. So especially if the game comes down to the wire. All right, St. Mary's and Grand Canyon. Here's where we got an upset. I like Grand Canyon, and I just think that they throw a lot of bodies at you. They're going to be pretty physical, and I think that this St. Mary's team, yes, I do like their starting five a lot. I really do. I feel like they might get a little overwhelmed. So that's why I have Grand Canyon winning that game. Then Alabama and Charleston. This is one where I feel like a lot of people are picking Charleston just because Alabama's not playing really well. So I'm going to ride with Alabama. I think that Alabama is a team that has really good guard play, and they like to score. I actually think they got a pretty decent draw considering just how they're playing right now. All right, Clemson, New Mexico. I really like New Mexico here. I think a lot of people do. I don't blame everybody. New Mexico's just playing really good basketball. Baylor and Colgate. I really like Baylor here too. This would set up a really fun matchup between two teams with really good guards. So yeah, there we go with that. Nevada and Dayton. All right, you guys know me. I like the Dayton Flyers. I think that this is a pretty tough matchup for Dayton. I really hope they can at least get this game. I'm going to pick them to win one at the very minimum because, it's just been 7 years. Like 7 years, Dayton's not playing an NCAA tournament game. I mean, come on. Imagine me not picking them to win one game. That'd just be... Wow, I couldn't imagine doing that. And then we got Arizona and Long Beach. I'm going to pick Arizona here. I think that they're not going to get upset again in the first round, are they? Probably not. If they did, that'd be just a tragedy. Houston and Longwood. Let's go to the South. I like Houston here. I think that's a pretty common pick. Nebraska and Texas A&M. Really like this Nebraska team. I know Tony Patelis will love that. I don't like this Texas A&M team. Wisconsin and James Madison. I'm going to ride with Wisconsin here. This could be a really fun game because obviously James Madison beat Michigan State in their opener, and James Madison's just so much fun. This will be the Pardon My Take Bowl, so it'll be a lot of fun to watch. Duke and Vermont, I think that's a great matchup for Duke. I think they'll be fine there. They'll move on. Texas Tech and North Carolina State. I really like Texas Tech here. I just think that they have better guards, and I don't know, I feel like the Magic's just going to run a little bit out on North Carolina State and their run. Kentucky and Oakland, I really like this Oakland team, but I think they just got a tough draw here. I think that just Kentucky's got too many athletes. That's why I'm going to go with the Wildcats. Florida against Boise State or Colorado. I'm going to pick actually Colorado to win, and then I'm also going to pick them to beat Florida. I'll be toast if Boise State ends up winning because I don't believe Boise State has a chance against Florida. But I'm going to pick the Buffaloes in that game. And then Marquette and Western Kentucky. I think this is actually a pretty good matchup for Marquette. Western Kentucky is going to try to be pretty chaotic, but again, Marquette's got just outstanding guards. And if Kolek's healthy, I think they'll be fine. So yeah. Purdue and Montana State or Grambling. I like Montana State. And I also like Purdue to win that. No 16 seed. God, imagine if that happened. Utah State against TCU. I like TCU here. I think they actually match up pretty well with Utah State. I think I just like TCU's guard play a little bit more. So yeah, we'll see. That's going to be an interesting game. I think that one really could go either way. Gonzaga and McNeese State. I like McNeese a lot, but I just trust Gonzaga's backcourt. I think they'll be able to handle all the pressure that they're going to put on them. Kansas and Samford with the McCullough injury. He's out for the tournament. Again, that's actually, I'm going to lie here. That was the reason why I hadn't filled out my bracket is because I knew that was going to happen. No. I'm going to pick Samford here. I think they'll be able to make things pretty interesting with Bucky Ball. They're going to press. They're going to make things chaotic. And I just don't know if Kansas is going to be able to keep up with them. I know that's crazy to say because they're Kansas, and at one point they looked like maybe the best team in the country. South Carolina and Oregon, this is a really tough one. You could go kind of either way here. I think that it's hard to pick against Dana Altman in an NCAA tournament game, and I do like South Carolina's guards. I think they have the better guards, but I don't know. I just cannot for the life of me pick against Dana Altman in that opening game. I just can't, which would actually set up a game between potentially him and his I think he was at Creighton, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to pick Creighton to beat Akron. No action for me. I know, crazy. So that would set up a really, really exciting game in the round of 32. Texas and Colorado State. I definitely was not going to have Virginia winning, so even though my bracket's a little late here. So hopefully you can trust me on that. Obviously, if you watched my breakdown, you knew that I didn't like this Virginia team. So this is actually a really good game. I think they both have just really good backcourts. I think this could go really either way here, but I'm going to ride with Texas. I just feel like I can trust A. Smith a little bit more and Tyrese Hunter. So then Tennessee and St. Peter's, I'm not expecting an upset here. I've got Tennessee moving on. All right, boom. We did it. First round's over with. Let's keep this thing flying. UConn and FAU. I'm going to pick UConn here. This is a really tough one as well because I feel like FAU brought back a lot of guys for a run here, but they just not played well. And I just feel like UConn, they're just so balanced. They can do things in the half court. I don't think they're going to get stuck in games, and those fans are going to show up in Brooklyn. They're going to claim a fourth arena. I mean, literally, they already claimed Madison Square Garden. Now they're going to claim the Barclays. You just can't make it up with this fan base. Truly, I'm going to say this about UConn. They are a blue blood. Anybody that doubts that is insane, in my opinion. Nobody, in my opinion, does it kind of like UConn. They claim 3 arenas. Who else does that? All right. San Diego State and Auburn. I really like Auburn here as well, which would set up, honestly, maybe the game of the tournament between UConn and Auburn. I think that would just be outstanding basketball. And I just think Auburn can overwhelm San Diego State too. So, yeah. All right. Illinois and BYU. I like Illinois here. Again, I don't think this BYU team can keep up with these Illinois players. They're big. They're athletic. That's kind of what I'm looking for here when I fill out my bracket. And then Iowa State against Drake. I like Iowa State to win that. So, yeah, that'd be a great battle in Iowa. I mean, both those fan bases will show out. All right, North Carolina, Michigan State. Move that one pretty quick. I like North Carolina there. I like them against whoever they play. I just do. This Michigan State team, maybe they figure it out. I'm just not buying it. Okay, Alabama and Grand Canyon. I'm actually going to pick Alabama here. I think that, yes, they're falling apart. This is kind of my shocker. I definitely don't think I would have had this if they were in a different region. But, sometimes the bracket just plays out in weird ways. And I feel like Alabama might be one of those teams that just has a little run in them. Who knows? Maybe I'm out of my gourd on that one. New Mexico and Baylor. I like New Mexico here. I think they're fun. They match up with those Baylor guards. God, this would be a spectacle to watch. I think this would be first to 90. For sure wins that game. And then Dayton and Arizona. I think this is where the run ends for Dayton. I do think that would be a really close game, but it's just hard to go against these Arizona guys. They're just big. They've got a lot of guards. That's what I'm riding with. All right, Nebraska and Houston. This one's tough. I really want to pick Nebraska. And honestly, I feel like I am. Maybe I'm crazy here. I mean, I am. I'm a guy that took a bracket out on a date, but I feel like there's just some magic with this Nebraska group. I got to have some upsets in here. I can't have everything chalk, and I'm just not in love with this Houston team. I know analytically they're like the best team. I get that. I don't know. I just feel like their guards are small. They're not going to be able to compete. That's just how I feel. Maybe I'm out of my mind. I get that, but I got to have some upsets here. So Nebraska to the Sweet 16. There you go. Wisconsin against Duke. I like Duke here. Yes, Duke, I've said, was a soft team. But you know what? Sometimes the bracket just lays out in weird ways. And I think Duke got a really good draw. So I'm going to pick Duke there. Texas Tech and Kentucky. I like Kentucky here. I think they match up pretty well with Texas Tech. I think they'll be able to score with them. And then Colorado versus Marquette. I really like this Marquette team. So I'm going to pick them to get to the Sweet 16. All right, Midwest. Purdue, TCU. I really like Purdue. We'll keep that one pretty quick there. I'm a believer in this group. Gonzaga and Samford. I like Gonzaga here. I just Mark Few, this poor guy. I feel for him. He deserved that national championship. I don't think this team's that, but I think they got a pretty good draw as well. As long as they're playing a lot of physical teams. They're smaller, but I think their guards will just be able to handle both of whoever they play, no matter if it's McNeese, whether if it's Samford or Kansas. I think they'll be able to handle all of them. Oregon against Creighton. I really like Creighton here. And then we got Texas and Tennessee, and I like Tennessee there as well. I think, honestly, I feel really bad. I think I could have had both these teams in my Final Four, but now they're both in the Sweet 16. It's going to be a great matchup, by the way, between Kalkbrenner, obviously, but specifically between Shireman and Connect. I think that's going to be a generational matchup for people like me. We'll keep it at that. Let's move on. Let's get to the Elite Eight here. Auburn and UConn. I spent a lot of time thinking about this one, guys. Again, I get that it's chalk, but I just don't see how people can keep up with this UConn team in the half court. When it gets tight, who's going to make a play? Am I trusting Auburn's guards or am I trusting UConn's? I'm going to trust UConn. Illinois and then Iowa State. I'm going to trust Illinois to get the job done there too. I get really nervous about that, but it's just how it came out to be, North Carolina and Alabama. This is where the road ends for Alabama for me. I'm going to pick North Carolina there. And then New Mexico and Arizona. I like Arizona here as well. A little chalky. I get it, but it just is what it is. All right, Duke, Nebraska. I like Duke here. keep it moving. I think that they'll be able to match up pretty well with Nebraska or even Houston, because I think Houston more than likely will win that matchup. But I'm going with a miracle here with Nebraska. All right. Kentucky, Marquette. I like Marquette here. I think they're getting completely disrespected by people. They're one of the best teams I saw this year. Best guard play. Could go down the line on a lot of things I like with this group. And then Purdue and Gonzaga. This would set up a rematch from Maui. I like Purdue there. Yes, I'm not picking Gonzaga again in my bracket. You can thank me. One too many times. And then we got Creighton and Tennessee. I really like Creighton here. I think that this would be a great matchup. Like I said, I really hope that happens. This would be really one of the fun games for the entire tournament as well, with like UConn and Auburn. I think these are the two I'm really cheering for the most, like a matchup I want to see. All right, for the Final Four, let's get this thing out of the way here. I like UConn beating Illinois. I just think they have I don't think they have a great draw, just because I think FAU, this is a team that people had as a top 10 team preseason. Also could have been the national championship last year. Then Auburn, but again, I just think they're overwhelming, and they have so many matchup nightmares, and they're just hard to play against. And if they're going to be the new Duke that people call them, you got to have like a repeat in you. So I think they can get back to the Final Four. North Carolina and Arizona. Again, this is a last ride for North Carolina. I like them over Arizona just because, one, I don't trust Arizona, but two, I had North Carolina as a team that I thought that, honestly, like people were disrespecting and like could be a great sleeper national champion pick. So that's the left side of the bracket for me. I get it. 2 1 seeds, I get it. It's chalky, but this is my bracket, and I went on a date with it. So, and you didn't. So that's what I got there. Marquette and Duke. I'm riding with Marquette here. I understand the risks I'm taking, but gotta have something different here. And I think Marquette, they've just got really good guard play, and honestly, like my Final Four is kind of setting up as a group of teams that I thought were the best teams in college basketball this year. So why wouldn't I pick that? And then moving down to the Midwest, we got we have Purdue versus Creighton for a spot in the title game. And I like Purdue here as well. It would be the Elite Eight. Stopped them short again. That'd be tough, but I'm just going to go with that. All righty. We got the Final Four. We got 3 1 seeds and a 2 seed, which isn't completely unrealistic, but I understand it's a little chalky. Not a whole lot of risks involved with this one, but again, it's just how it laid out. So gotta ride with it. Purdue, Marquette, a rematch from Maui, and then UConn and North Carolina, a battle between. Wow, that'd be a crazy matchup. I really hope that happened. I would like UConn to win that game, get back to the national title game, and then Marquette and Purdue. We already saw Purdue beat Marquette once. Why not see it again? So here's my national title game: UConn and Purdue, battle between 2 1 seeds. Which actually, now I'm even thinking about it, in 2017, when the Final Four was in Phoenix, the national title game was between, I think, North Carolina and Gonzaga, and they were both 1 seeds. So why not ride with 2 1 seeds again when it's in Phoenix? So we'll go with that as my title game. And guys, I'm going to have Purdue winning it all. I know. Crazy, right? I'm going to be brave enough to do that. I understand that there's a lot of risk involved with that, but that's just how it played out for me. And, if they do pull off a Virginia run from 2019, I feel like I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't pick them. So that's why I'm going to ride with them. It makes it a little easier, too, when you're picking your bracket, if you've kind of got like a little bit of something preset. So then you don't have to scramble towards the last minute. I feel like I've been kind of in on Purdue for the past couple of weeks now. So that's my pick. Yes, it's over. I did it. I filled out my bracket. Again, I really suggest everybody kind of does their own thing. If you're having trouble with your picks, honestly, just leave a comment down below, and I'll comment. I'll get back with all the comments. I'll try to help you through everything. I know that we've got like less than 24 hours before these have to be submitted. But if you do have any questions, please let me know down below. Again, also check out my 68 team breakdown, because I think that one, again, I like breaking things down before the brackets are released, just because you kind of get lost in the bracket. But then if you kind of hear every team broken down bit by bit before even any matchups are announced, you can kind of get a way better picture. Because again, the bracket thing, it overwhelms me, because it's like you want to have a good bracket, But yeah, okay, enough rambling. I've been rambling for way too long. That's the bracket. Really hope you enjoyed. Laugh at me in the comments. Call me crazy. I don't care. I took my bracket on a date. I am crazy. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, maybe hit me up on Twitter or whatever. I'll leave that in the bio. So, all right, we're done. Bye.